Tonight, a Hamas delegation arrives in Cairo to continue Gaza ceasefire talks with reports Israel has agreed to the terms. Labor celebrates hanging on to Dunkley as the opposition insists the swing shows a path back to government. The former politician accused of helping international spies confirmed to have been recruited while serving in an Australian parliament. And the NRL season gets underway in Las Vegas with Manly and the Roosters victorious. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Meredith Sheehan. Israel has reportedly endorsed the framework for a 6-week ceasefire in Gaza that could see fighting paused and hostages released. US officials say mediators are now waiting on a response from Hamas, whose delegation arrived in Cairo earlier tonight to resume talks. But a Palestinian official familiar with the negotiations has told Reuters news agency the group is not yet close to finalising a deal. The talks come as aid officials warn of the threat of famine, with the United States expanding its role in the conflict.
Not bombs, but precious pallets rained down on Gaza. The life-saving cargo coming from US and Jordanian Air Force cargo planes, dropping 38,000 ready-to-eat meals for the hungry thousands. The aid drops mark an expansion of America's direct role responding to the crisis here. The US and other nations confirming this drop will be one of many to come.
We welcome any increase to the flow of assistance that's coming into the Gaza Strip. At the same time, airdrops are really only ever used as an absolute last resort. It's difficult to actually bring in the amount, the quantity that's required in order to meet the needs.
Some Palestinians agree it's too little to make a real difference.
The aid that is dropped by parachute is not nearly enough. Egypt should open its border and let the trucks deliver our aid.
As the war enters its 6th month, the United Nations is warning of famine, saying more than 500,000 Gazans are at risk, leading to desperate scenes like this when limited aid does manage to trickle in. Just days ago, one of the worst single tragedies when more than 100 were killed during an outbreak of violence at a food convoy. Israeli soldiers opened fire near the crowd.
It was a humanitarian operation we were running, and the claim that we deliberately attacked the convoy and deliberately harmed people is completely baseless.
US officials say Israel's basically accepted a deal for a 6-week ceasefire in exchange for the release of some of the hostages. The sticking points are over who will be released, including how many Palestinian prisoners. International mediators say it's now up to Hamas to agree, but they're optimistic there'll be a breakthrough.
We hope that we will be able to achieve ceasefire before Ramadan.
The Muslim holy month begins next week. Eric Twarchek, ABC News, Jerusalem.
And the Israeli military has released the findings of its preliminary review of the more than 100 civilian deaths at that aid convoy last week. The IDF maintains its claim that its soldiers did not strike the convoy, and most of the Palestinian fatalities were caused by a stampede. The IDF spokesman, who reiterated the claim that soldiers fired warning shots to disperse the crowd. The findings contradict claims by health authorities in Gaza. That includes the head of the Gaza City Hospital, who told reporters yesterday that of the 176 wounded brought to the hospital, more than 80% suffered gunshot wounds. At least 115 Palestinians were killed in the incident and more than 750 injured. The IDF says it would now be the subject of an independent review. The federal opposition insists it's well placed to win outer suburban seats from Labor at the next election, despite falling short in the Dunkley by-election yesterday. Labor retained the seat, which is centred around Frankston, south of Melbourne, with local community worker Jodie Bellier finishing clear of the Liberal candidate Nathan Conroy, even though there was a 3.6% swing away from the government. And while cost of living was the central issue of the campaign, it wasn't enough to change the way people voted.
From Frankston mum to federal MP, Jody Bellier is the latest addition to Anthony Albanese's team.
Jody! I spoke to him a short time ago and I am now officially the second most important Jody in Albo.
The primary vote, maintained in the way that Jody has done it, is just an extraordinary achievement.
Local Mayor and Liberal candidate Nathan Conroy narrowed the gap, but not by nearly enough.
The next election, we are coming for Albanese and his government.
And chose to focus on the brighter side of the by-election battle.
Just before I came up on the stage, my wife whispered in my ear that we are having our second child.
The party picked up votes from One Nation and the United Australia Party, which didn't stand candidates.
The people of Dunkley have sent Anthony Albanese a really strong message. And it's not happy birthday!
Outer suburban seats, like here in Dunkley, are the ones the coalition need to win to find a path to victory at the next election. Opposition leader Peter Dutton wanted to make this by-election a referendum on the cost of living. But with Labor's primary vote slightly up, it's being seen as vindication for its Stage 3 tax cuts.
I did it! Well done. Thank you.
With Dunkley safely back in Labor hands, the Prime Minister's focus remains on the one issue that dominated the campaign.
And on cost of living, we'll continue to look for what measures we can put in place to take pressure off cost of living without putting pressure on inflation.
The Liberal Party loss will trigger some self-reflection about its policy agenda.
Do you need now to start releasing more policy alternatives?
Of course, and that's what we will do.
The by-election was held after the death of former MP Peter Murphy from cancer last year. Embracing Ms Murphy's husband Rod Glover, Jody Bellier has vowed to build on her legacy and fight for her electorate in Canberra.
Because I am Frankston tough.
Bridget Rollison, ABC News, Frankston.
Labor retaining the seat means there's no change on the electoral map, but the result could offer insight into how the next federal election might play out. With analysis, here's the ABC's national political lead, David Spears.
Liberals insist they're happy. The official line is this was a very good result. And it's true, this result, in line with the average by-election swing, was better than the party's done for some time in Victoria. But the reality is the Liberals lost again, despite this being a by-election when voters often give governments a kick in the shins. And despite the cost of living crisis, which is biting hard in a seat like Dunkley, not enough voters there were willing to sheet home blame to the government for the hip pocket pain they're feeling. There's already talk within Liberal ranks about the need for Peter Dutton to do more than just attack and start producing some alternative policy solutions. And some of his colleagues want a greater focus on winning back inner metro Teal seats rather than just focusing on the outer suburbs. For Labor, holding up their primary vote was an achievement. The rejigged tax cuts worked, but they won't be remembered forever. We're likely to see more cost of living help in the May budget and no doubt in the lead up to the next general election, which could be just over a year away. By then, the Prime Minister will be hoping interest rates have started to fall and voters give him credit for the economy turning the corner.
It's been revealed the former politician accused of helping an international spy ring was recruited while serving as a Member of Parliament. The boss of Australia's domestic intelligence agency ASIO revealed last week a foreign spy group cultivated the now former politician. However, Mike Burgess didn't provide details about their age, gender or political affiliation. He says although the person is no longer a politician, they were recruited while in office and it occurred before 2018.
I won't comment on which parliament it was. What I will say is foreign interference against the political system happens at all levels of government, local, state and federal, and applies itself equally across all political parties.
Hundreds of pro-Palestinian and pro-Israel protesters have come face-to-face at a tense rally in Adelaide this afternoon. There was a heavy police presence as emotions ran high at the event on the steps of Parliament, created to call out anti-Semitism in the community.
As emotions boil over, police stand between pro-Palestine and pro-Israel protesters.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
This afternoon's gatherings on the steps of Parliament was one of several that have been held around the country to call for an end to anti-Semitism.
We're saying that we need to be constructive in our society, we need to relate together and communicate and dialogue and work together. Very simple.
Pro-Palestine protesters attempting to drown out their message.
We want peace, we want justice, and we want liberation for all oppressed groups. That's why we are here. This is just one small narrative of the story. We want to fight for all of humanity. All of humanity deserves to live in peace. All of humanity deserves to live in justice.
Among those speaking at the event, Liberal Senator Simon Birmingham.
Thank you for being here for the values of love, the values of forgiveness, the values of togetherness, values that are so important to our nation.
Despite heated protests from the pro-Palestine and pro-Israel groups, there weren't any major clashes, with police managing to keep the demonstrators apart. Police, though, were criticised by some in the pro-Israel group for allowing protesters to disrupt their event.
So the police knew well in advance what was going to happen, and they're doing nothing.
Peace will not come with peace and love, and we are here demanding Palestinians to be free in any means necessary.
Pro-Palestine protesters vowing to keep up their regular gatherings in the city until the war in Gaza is over. Imogen Hain, ABC News.
Health is shaping up to be a key battleground in the Tasmania election, with both major parties unveiling plans to reform the system. Labor unveiled plans to hire more staff, while the Liberal Party says it will be effectively banning ambulance ramping. Tasmanian Premier Jeremy Rockliff revealed the policy at the Liberal campaign launch held on his family farm.
From the paddock to the podium, Liberal leader Jeremy Rockliff arrived to his campaign launch in style. The Premier, who called an election to try and reclaim majority government, reminding party faithful that outcome is far from guaranteed.
We are in a strong position, but we're not over the line. There's still a way to go for us to be able to restore to Tasmanians the stability and the certainty that a majority government delivers.
Health policy was front of mind, including a plan to establish a team of 10 rapid response general practitioners that can be deployed to local practices when they're needed. Perhaps more ambitious was a pledge to ban ambulance ramping.
Just last month, we announced a new protocol mandating a maximum 60-minute window for all patients arriving by ambulance to be transferred to the care of emergency department staff. Well, today, we're going further. We're going to reduce this 60-minute window to just 30 minutes, which effectively means we're going to be banning ramping.
While he addressed Liberal loyalists, Jeremy Rockliff's pitch was to undecided voters, those who might not normally vote Liberal. Much of his speech addressed cost of living challenges, with some policies not too different from what you might see from Labor. But a ramping ban is not an idea they share.
We need to have a comprehensive health policy that resolves this. We can't just say ban ramping and the issue will be gone. That's not how it works.
Labor has its own plans to reform the health sector. They're fighting for federal money to upgrade the state's hospitals and pledging an additional $44 million to recruit and retain more staff.
Making casual and fixed-term employees permanent, which will see those 500 workers who are currently on short-term contracts or in casual, insecure work provided with security finally.
With less than 3 weeks to go now, both parties are fielding their ideas for Tasmania's future, some more literally than others. Lucy MacDonald, ABC News.
Authorities have expanded the exclusion zone around a sinkhole in Sydney South. This was the sinkhole on Friday when it first appeared at an industrial site at Rockdale. Concrete has been poured into the 10-metre hole over the weekend. Fire and Rescue New South Wales has been monitoring it and says the building above has moved slightly. Engineers are assessing the site tonight to determine the next steps. More than 100,000 people crammed the streets of Sydney last night to watch the 46th Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Parade. A protest briefly stopped the march, but the show went on as usual. It was glitter-soaked and a sequin-studded affair. Amid the celebration, the community also came together to remember a young couple allegedly murdered by a serving police officer.
The Dykes on Bikes always kick off the parade with a roar. But last night they paused at Taylor Square to remember the lives of Sydney couple Jessie Baird and Luke Davies. A jumbo jet bearing Luke Davies' name led the Qantas float, the flight attendant's mother joining his colleagues for what was one of her son's favourite nights of the year.
We have Luke's mum walking with us tonight, and that is just a special moment to share with her, to share the embrace her into our love.
I hope that tonight brings a lot of healing for everyone, because I certainly know Luke was just the sweetest person, and he would want everyone to celebrate unity and love.
After delicate negotiations with organisers, police marched, but not in uniform.
Everyone's been very positive and welcoming, and it's been a very pleasant surprise.
But tensions flared over other issues, with protesters calling for a ceasefire in Gaza dragged off the road by police. 8 people were later charged. The scuffle happened just in front of the Rainbow Labour float, where Chris Minns was making history as the first Premier to march. Throughout the night, there were plenty of politics.
Mardi Gras needs to be a political act. It's how it started and it's how it will always be.
And floats to float all boats, from tradies on the tools to the fabulously feathered.
Happy Mardi Gras, Sydney!
Bears bearing all to partying pink Barbies.
Come on, Barbie, let's go.
Shaking, shimmying and shining their way down Oxford Street in every colour of the rainbow. It was fierce, fabulous and free. Even a few brief showers weren't a drag.
You're not worried your face is going to melt in the rain?
Oh no, it's waterproofed. I've prepared myself. Many years of experience for that.
And for some, it was a family affair.
It means a lot. It's a special place walking down here. It's amazing. Well, the 12,000 marchers in this year's parade are certainly showing what Mardi Gras is all about. Celebration, pride, inclusivity and community. And for a lot of these people, the night is just getting started. Many of them will be partying well into Sunday. Happy Mardi Gras, nothing could dampen our parade.
Sarah Gerrithy, ABC News, Sydney.
Kylie Minogue has officially reached global icon status after being honoured with the title at the Brit Awards in London. The award recognises Kylie's sensational career. She's the first female artist to score a #1 album in 5 consecutive decades in the UK. The other big star of the night was English singer-songwriter Ray, who won a record-breaking 6 awards. It was vindication for the 26-year-old who, after years of fighting her record label, found success by releasing her music independently. The NRL season is officially underway after Rugby League rolled into Las Vegas for the first time in the sport's history. Manly down South Sydney and the Broncos were outplayed by the Roosters.
The winds were howling, the skies threatening. The fans came in a trickle and then with a roar.
Hey, the Bronx, come on! Vegas!
Hello, Sydney. Go Rabbitohs!
40-0, 40-0, 40-0!
Rugby League's moment in the City of Sin had arrived.
Let's go. NRL USA, baby.
So we are going to do it big time here in Vegas, and it's the best. And we just love you guys. You've accepted us. We've shut up! Oh, bring back the biff!
I think the Yanks will love it, but it'll take a while for them just to get used to the game, you know, because they're stop, start, where our games just flood out for the 80 minutes.
They were well and truly outnumbered, but there were a few Americans in the mix.
It's exciting and fun to watch. Watching the guys, you know, it's so different to the NFL.
It's all year this year, definitely.
I'm hoping the Broncos get a lot of tries and kick a lot of goals.
I'm expecting good rugby live.
More than 40,000 fans were in the stands for the historic double-header, but the NRL's dreaming bigger than that.
I think if we can make it here,
it could be worth tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars for the game.
Cue this young star to shine in the bright lights of Vegas. But it was the Roosters who prevailed over last year's grand finalists, 20-10. The clash wasn't without controversy, a racial complaint made by Ezra Mam against Spencer Lanu.
I haven't heard it. The incident goes on report. Kate will be dealt with after.
Earlier, a high-scoring show between the Bunnies and Sea Eagles as the sides scored a combined 11 tries, Manly winning by 12 points.
The NRL will be back here next year. It's committed to its American ambitions over a 5-year period.
But whether locals will take to the game is still a big question mark.
It's Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
Emily Gramens, ABC News, Las Vegas.
Spinner Nathan Lyon took 10 wickets for the match as Australia defeated New Zealand by 172 runs in the first test in Wellington. Chasing 369 for victory, the Black Caps offered little resistance on day 4 as Australia took a 1-0 lead in the 2-test series.
He's a swing at that.
It's been 31 years since New Zealand has beaten Australia in a test at home, and the wait continues.
And Australia have won it quite convincingly in the end.
Had some success against them over the years in Test cricket, and great to get a great start here.
A pitch that had started the game as a pace bowler's dream turned into a nightmare for batters facing Nathan Lyon.
And on the pads and gone.
The veteran spinner finished with a match haul of 10 wickets for the 5th time in his career.
And that one will not go far enough.
I already told him today he retires. I'm definitely giving up the captaincy because it makes my life a hell of a lot easier.
He's always under pressure in the 4th innings and he always seems to stand up and perform. So, yeah, he bowled beautifully.
Green was named man of the match for his career best knock in the first innings.
He was amazing. He was really the difference in the end. You look at the trend of the game. I think the next highest score was about 50 or 60, and he's obviously put on 170 odd, not out.
After letting opportunities slip in this test, New Zealand is optimistic that it can level the series.
We'll reflect on this, we'll debrief it and obviously move to a different surface, a ground that we've had a lot of success at.
The second and final test starts on Friday in Christchurch. Duncan Huntsdale, ABC News.
Australian tennis player Alex de Minaur has won the Mexican Open for the 2nd year in a row. The world number 9 defeated Norway's Casper Ruud 6-4, 6-4 in the final. It's the 8th ATP title for the 25-year-old and his first tournament win since his triumph in the same event last year. The new Formula One season has started with the reigning champion Max Verstappen recording a win in Bahrain. Verstappen won 19 of 22 races last year and continued to that form by finishing more than 20 seconds ahead of Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez. Australian Oscar Piastri was 8th in his McLaren, while Daniel Ricciardo finished 13th. Verstappen's win came just days after Red Bull boss Christian Horner was cleared after an investigation into allegations of workplace misconduct.
We're a very strong team. We've got tremendous support. We've got tremendous partners, great shareholders behind us as well. And you don't achieve this kind of result by not being united.
In athletics, 2 Australian women have run 800-metre Olympic qualifiers in last night's Canberra Track Classic. For one teenage sensation, it's a dream come true in the early stages of a breakout season.
Athletics fans are getting used to seeing Claudia Hollingsworth pull away from the field.
Going to get there. Hollingsworth wins again. And the time is fast, super fast. 1:58.83.
But yesterday's 800-metre race at the Canberra Track Classic was more than just a win for the 18-year-old.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is an Olympic qualifier.
It's obviously everyone's sort of dream for this Australian season to get it ticked off and for it to happen so early. I didn't know. I was obviously hoping for it, especially at this track, pacing it quite quick, but yeah, amazing feeling for sure.
Hollingsworth becomes the 3rd fastest Australian of all time over 800 metres, breaking her 3rd consecutive under-20 national record. And she wasn't the only one in the race to run an Olympic qualifier, with training partner Bandiria Boyer also clocking the time needed for Paris. In the women's 100 metres, national women's record holder Tori Lewis continues her winning ways, running 11.30 seconds to remain the top Australian sprinter this season.
Running well, Lewis launches clear and gets the win.
While it was 0.20 seconds off her Australian record, run in Canberra earlier this year, Lewis is just happy for another race experience.
So the fact that every single track classic I've done, except for Melbourne, I've won, it just gives me a lot more confidence.
Former Australian representative turned Frenchman Sasha Zoya made his much anticipated arrival at the Summer Series.
Now he hits that hurdle, Zoya zooms away and Sasha!
Clocking 13.5 seconds in the men's 110 metre hurdles in front of his adoring fans.
Being back here, I'm really feeling the love, which is making me really feel at home.
The Summer Series continues with the Sydney Track Classic held at Olympic Park in 3 weeks. Anthea Moody, ABC News, Canberra.
On the satellite, cloud is scattering across the top of the country. An area of convective cloud in central and the south of Western Australia is caused by a surface trough. On the synoptic, strong winds behind a front are bringing showers to Tasmania. Highs are keeping southern South Australia, Victoria and Queensland dry. Looking around the country for Monday, showers and storms in Queensland's east with mostly sunny and very warm temperatures inland. To New South Wales and the ACT, cool to mild conditions in the east with showers in the northeast, mostly sunny elsewhere. It'll be mostly sunny in Victoria's south with sunny and warm temperatures in the north. To Tasmania, cool and mostly sunny conditions across the state with a windy day on the highlands. To South Australia, mostly sunny and warm in the southeast, mostly cloudy for the rest of the state. Clearing showers and mild to warm temperatures in the south of Western Australia and mostly sunny in the northwest. Showers over the Kimberleys and top of the Northern Territory, mostly sunny and hot over the interior and mostly cloudy in the south. Looking ahead to Tuesday's forecast for the capital cities, a possible shower for Brisbane, mostly sunny in Sydney, some fog, then sunshine for Canberra. Melbourne will be sunny, mostly cloudy in Hobart. A sunny day for Adelaide, Perth will be mostly sunny, and a possible thunderstorm for Darwin with a top of 33. That's the latest from ABC News. Remember, you can keep up to date at news.abc.net.au and on ABC iView. I'm Meredith. Sheehan. Stay with us. Backroads is coming up next.
How do you